to order. And Council Vice President Scott Barr is going to lead us in a prayer.
Yep. I thought that was a pledge. Lord, we always have reasons to be thankful. We certainly have reason to be thankful for this beautiful Michigan summer weather, but particularly tonight, Lord, I just thank you for the chance to be back here in person again after almost a year since we last did it, and just for all your faithfulness in the course of the turmoil of the last year. And just pray that as we would embark on this meeting tonight and at all levels of government, that you would just enable us and leaders everywhere to make wise decisions. We pray also, I would pray a blessing on just all the teachers and students who are wrapping up school here in Livonia this week, especially after everything that they've been through. Pray that it could be a strong ending for them. And again, that you just give us grace and wisdom in this night. We pray and amen.
Thank you, Vice President Barr. Good evening, and welcome to the 1922nd regular meeting of the Livonia City Council. This is a voting meeting. Minutes of this meeting will be approved at the next regular meeting scheduled to be held on Monday, June 28, 2021, here in the auditorium. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Vice President Barr.
Here.
Councilmember White.
Here.
Councilmember McCullough.
Here, Civic Center. See what I did there?
Councilmember Donovic.
I am here, thank you.
Councilmember Jolly.
Present.
Councilmember Toy.
Here?
President McIntyre.
Here, and we have all 7 members of council with us this evening. At this time, we have the presentation of the minutes for the 1921st regular meeting of the City Council that was held on May 24th, 2021. Council,
So moved, Madam Chair.
I'll second that.
are there any corrections, amendments to the minutes? Anyone else? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you would please take the vote on approval of the minutes from the May 24th regular meeting.
Vice President Barr.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the minutes are approved unanimously. At this time, we go to the council. If anyone has any personal announcements, tributes, or recognitions they'd like to make. Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. Coming up on June 23rd, I want to wish a big happy birthday to my 7-year-old daughter, Harper. She is, I think, watching this live either on the cable channel or YouTube right now. So happy birthday, Harper, in a couple weeks. Yeah, that's all I got.
Happy birthday, Harper.
I know, right? Time goes. 7.
Anyone else? Councilmember Toy.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'd just like to announce that tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock in our council chambers, we will have our meeting in regards to the environment, and there'll be some very interesting topics. We have a woman that is coming in from Michigan State to explain some dollars that may be available for us, as well as some things on recycling, repurposing, and reusing. So I invite all of you to come on up, voice your concerns or your opinions or whatever, and we welcome participation in that meeting. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Toy. Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. I have 3 things this evening. First, I would like to congratulate Captain Ronald Tagg for his retirement from the Livonia Police Department after serving 33 years. We wish him the best going forward, and we know we will continue to see him around. I'd also like to wish my daughter, Lexi, a happy 10th birthday. She is unfortunately, well, or fortunately for her, not watching at the moment. She's watching her brother's T-ball game. And lastly, I would like to congratulate Councilman McCullough on his 2nd place finish in the Livonia Run to Save Our Youth.
Wow.
Who finished number 1? I mean, you might as well take it right now.
It's not important. But more importantly, though, I'd like to congratulate Karen, who's in the audience, in regards to her work for the Run to Save Our Youth and Livonia Save Our Youth organization, which does a lot of great work to fight the opioid crisis in Livonia and drug use of all kinds, really. So she's an asset to the community, the organization is, and the race was a great success. Thank you.
May I, before I go to Councilman Donovic, may I just follow up with a question? to you and Mr. McCullough without taking anything away from your outstanding performances. Is it true Jim Davis was out of town?
I think there are age groups.
Okay. Anyway, and
Happy to finish the race.
I'll second the congratulations to Karen. Thank you for the indulgence, Councilmember Donovan. Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. I wish I was there. I know it was a big crowd, so hats off to Save Our Youth. Today is June 14th, and that is the Army's birthday, 1775. So happy birthday to the Army. And also it is Flag Day, and on this day in 1954, President Eisenhower signed into law adding the phrase "under God" to the Pledge of Allegiance. So happy birthday to the Army, and happy birthday our Flag Day. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Donovan. I'd just like to, first of all, welcome everyone back in person. We've had a few committee meetings and public hearings in person, but this is the first time since sometime last July, I believe, late June, July, that we've been back in person in these chambers. And we owe a debt of gratitude to everyone in the city of Livonia, but especially our Information Systems Department, headed up by Casey O'Neill, and LivoniaTV and everyone else who allowed us to continue to conduct the city's business via Zoom and found ways to ensure that we could include the public and have very active and vigorous audience communication. But there's something very, very nice about being able to see each other and our colleagues from the administration and the residents in person. And believe it or not, even if you're residents who are here to protest or express your displeasure with us, we're happy to see you. And it just kind of goes to everything and makes us appreciate things that we didn't know how much we appreciated, right? And while some protesters grow very raucous and make it hard for us to do our business, we're always very happy to see people here to express whatever opinion they have, whether it's supportive for things that we've done or whether it's not supportive of things that we've done. So thank you to everyone who, and it's a little bit easier, I guess, to get on Zoom, but I think that the benefits of being able to be in person and see each other outweigh any of the convenience factors. But that experience has informed us regarding technology, and I think we'll be looking for ways in the future to make the best practices of some of the things we've learned that we can do through technology, but it's great to see everyone. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to wish our library director, Tony Laporte, a very happy birthday. She celebrated it yesterday. And one final announcement, and that is to announce a public hearing that will be held on June 21st, a week from tonight, on the rezoning of 37711, 37631, and 37601 Plymouth Road. And at this time, it's my pleasure and my privilege to announce our department heads, and that's another thing that's much easier to do in person than via Zoom. And I'll begin on my left with our city engineer, Todd Zielinczyk, our director of economic and development, Mr. Mark Taramina, our manager of the city council office and council affairs is Sarah Kasperwich, our city clerk, Susan Nash, our director of governmental affairs, Ms. LaShawn Thomas, our city attorney, Paul Bernier. I also see in the audience our city treasurer, Linda Scheel, and I see Connie Kumpola. Did I say that correctly? I hope I did. Our assistant director of finance, who I assume is probably here representing Mr. Slater, our director of finance. So thank you to all of our department heads for being with us tonight and helping us to bring this meeting to you with lots of good information. At this time, we go to audience communication, and I'm going to ask our council parliamentarian, Kathy White, if she would please, as we do at every meeting, read the rules for audience communication.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the public audience at the meeting shall not speak until they are recognized by the chair. Each person recognized by the chair to address the council shall identify himself or herself by name and, if appropriate, group affiliation. A person addressing council on an item on the agenda shall be limited to 2 minutes unless the period of time is extended by a majority of the council present and shall be recognized to speak prior to council's consideration of the item. There will be an audience communication section of not more than 30 minutes duration at the beginning of all council regular and study meetings where citizens may address the council. There will also be an audience communication section at the end of all regular and study council meetings where citizens may address council on any matter that is not on the agenda of that meeting. Citizens who wish to expand upon their remarks will be asked to reduce the matter to writing and submit it to the city clerk, and such item may be placed on a future council study session for further consideration. A person addressing council under the audience communications portion of the agenda will be limited to a total of 3 minutes at each study or regular meeting, unless the period of time is extended by a majority of the council present. A citizen may address the council once during audience communication. If the citizen has addressed the council during the first audience communication period at the beginning of the meeting, the citizen will not be permitted to address the council again during any audience communication period at the end of the meeting. Anyone addressing the council shall make responsible comments. Personal, impertinent, slanderous, or profane remarks are not permitted. Anyone causing a breach of the peace may be removed from the council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember White. And just for those of you who may be new to audience communication, we set aside half an hour at the beginning of the meeting for audience communication. Anyone that doesn't have an opportunity to speak during that first half hour, there is another audience communication at the end of the meeting, so everyone who wishes to will have an opportunity to speak. And I show that it's 7:13, so that means that beginning now, we will set aside our 30 minutes. So if you would like to address the council, and again, this is on any item not in this evening's agenda, we'll ask that you approach the podium, and maybe then as one person approaches, and then whoever wants to be next can stand on that yellow X behind him. Mr. Grisbick? And we'll ask you again if you would please give us your name and address.
Thank you, Council President McIntyre, members of council. It's good to see you back in person, and it's good to not talk to a phone or a computer to have these meetings. I'm sure you echo that. Councilman Donovic, thank you for your service. Welcome home. It's good to see you as well. And I appreciate you also committing to all your meetings as well during that time. I know that's an unprecedented thing. I'm speaking to you this evening, and again, John Grisbick, 11301 Hubble, I'm sorry. I'm speaking, and that's Livonia, obviously. I'm speaking to you as a citizen tonight. I'm not representing any groups or any organizations or city capacities I may be a part of. I just want to take a personal point of privilege and say my condolences to the family of Council President Joe Taylor. I was at his visitation and his funeral. A lot of you know how much he meant to me, not only as when I was very young, back in 3rd or 4th grade, we went on a field trip here, and it meant a lot to me to meet him, because through that, when I became a teenager in my early 20s, I got to meet a lot of you and a lot of the people that sat there before you sat there, as well as mayors, Mayor Engelbretson, Mayor Kirksey, and now even our Mayor Brosnan. And I want to thank you also for all the wonderful things that you've done in the last year in very difficult times, as well as the mayor and the administration. So again, thank you for that. Again, my condolences to the Council President Taylor. I did work with him on spree on the board, and hopefully one day we'll have a spree again. And there were some things that he enjoyed there, and I'm sure we'll all remember him. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and thank you, and we should have had that in our announcements tonight, and thank you for bringing it up. We all mourn the loss of a great man, a great friend to the city, and someone who served the city with really a remarkable dignity and commitment to service. And we have, several years ago, we did have the privilege of renaming the council chambers in Joe's honor. All right, next, good evening. We'll go to this podium.
Good evening. My name is Mary Fife. I live at 19321 Lathers. I'm going to address the rezoning agenda number 16.
Actually, we're going to ask you, those comments get made during that agenda item.
Okay.
So if you would just sit tight, Mary, and we'll make sure that you know when we get to that agenda item, and we'll welcome your comments. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I'd like to request 3 minutes to speak, please.
You have 3 minutes.
Hello. My name is Brent Sabo, and I live at 14587 Blue Sky Street. I am here today along with several other residents who all care about Livonia and making Livonia a great place to live. That is why we are all deeply concerned with the significant amount of healthy, mature trees that the city is cutting down. We understand that trees need to be taken out in some cases because of disease or essential underground utility work. However, that is not the case here. These trees are being removed as part of road repair. Why is it necessary to destroy healthy, mature trees just to repair the roads they border? The administration will claim that the road repair plan takes into account all of the lessons learned from the past, that we simply know better now. The thing is, the road repair plan was developed 20 years ago, and yes, we do know better now. We know now that climate change is an existential threat. We know now that trees are an important tool in the fight against climate change. Trees are being replanted, of course, but these new trees will take decades to grow. And these new trees are a significantly smaller species. They will never provide the benefits of the trees we are needlessly destroying. In the last city council meeting, an important first step was made in the recommendation of a Livonia tree ordinance by Councilman McCullough. Thank you, Councilman McCullough. And thank you to all of City Council for approval. That was the first step. And now we have the responsibility to make a meaningful change. It is a responsibility to our children and to their children. We need to preserve our mature trees. We know that now. No doubt this is a complicated issue. Road repairs are necessary, so how can we work around these existing trees? The Livonia tree ordinance can be our answer, but only if it is developed with the careful attention it deserves. The Department of Public Works and the Volunteer Tree Committee cannot be expected on its own to develop an ordinance of such critical importance to the future of Livonia. There are 3 things we must do in creating the Livonia tree ordinance. We must involve the residents. We must utilize the tools that we already have. For example, the Livonia Public Safety, Health, and Environment Committee. And we must hire an expert consultant because this is a complicated issue. City Council, will you make these 3 recommendations? The future of Livonia is depending on us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sabo. Next, we'll go to the other podium. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, Council. It's so nice to see you back again in person this evening. I wanted to step forward now because I wanted to spend just a little bit of time talking about Councilmember Joe Taylor this evening. I think it's important that we set aside a moment to recognize his many, many years of service. And we just heard from a resident who truly appreciated Councilman Taylor's role and all that he brought to the city of Livonia. And I know many of you have also worked and served with him as well and understand the magnitude and the import of the leadership that he brought to our community. So I wanted to spend just a moment recognizing Councilman Taylor, who passed away on May 28th, just recently at the age of 90. Joe was dedicated to serving our community in one of the most extraordinary ways, and that is giving the greatest gift of all, his time. Joe spent 26 years actually, on the Livonia City Council. Perhaps will be the longest serving council person that we will ever see. He served for 8 years on the Zoning Board of Appeals, an additional 8 years on the Planning Commission, and for 30 years on our Economic Development Corporation. So that is by far and away an amazing testimony to his true belief and his sincere appreciation for everything that Livonia had to afford and offer its residents. Joe clearly gave his life to leading in the very best way possible. Joe led with his heart. He was a leader that led with compassion and integrity. He was a mentor to many of us, a friend, a champion, not only of the city, but of so many young elected leaders. I was one of those people who benefited from Councilman Taylor's support and endorsement when I first came on council. And Joe was the first person to tell me that it was important that every single item on your agenda had a person connected to it. Every single item on the agenda had a piece of property most likely connected to it. And it was my job to talk to those people. It was my job to visit those sites. And it was that kind of mentorship that he shared not only with me, but others who came after me. And it's because of his guidance, because of his leadership, that there is a deep and abiding faith in this city and in the leadership of this city. And I know much of that has been instilled in all of you, and that we're going to continue that legacy. And I think one of the most important things that I remember hearing Joe talk about was the importance of looking at every single decision that I made as a city council member on its own merits, with an understanding that oftentimes we were setting precedent, but oftentimes there were extenuating circumstances and that we had to take those into account. So Joe Taylor, I think, will be most remembered for that. And I know as a city, as a community, we tried our best to honor him and naming the council chambers in his honor. And I know that meant a lot to Joe in November of 2017 when we all gathered for the unveiling of the renaming of the council office. And perhaps the greatest testimony of all is that every time you all walk through that door, that you see his name on it, and that you take one moment to remember the level of integrity and compassion that he brought to this community. So thank you for the time to share in the memory of Joe Taylor with you all this evening. And if you have not taken a moment of silence, I would ask that you do so now. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mayor, for those beautiful words of a true hero to our city. Thank you.
Madam President.
Yes,
Just a
Vice
mo-
President Barr.
Thank you. Just a moment. I too thank the mayor for sharing that. And I'll just tack on something to the point. She talked about the encouragement that Joe Taylor was to her. And just kind of a funny little memorable anecdote for me. When I joined Planning Commission in 2011, I was sitting where Councilman Donovic is right now, and Joe Taylor sat where Jim Jolly is. And as a kid that grew up in Livonia, I felt like I was sitting next to Livonia royalty. I was like, this is Joe Taylor next to me right here. And everything the mayor said is true about just his mentorship and then the quiet little nudges and the comments and the answering the questions during those meetings. But the anecdote I want to share is when I first joined Planning Commission, I deliberately kept my mouth shut for several months. I just was learning and just wanted to defer to my colleagues until I was confident that I had some sense of what I was talking about. And I'd probably been there somewhere between 4 and 6 months. And they asked for a resolution on something, and it was something that was clear what the resolution was going to be, and there was a silence, and I was waiting. And Joe just looked over me and says, it's about time you give a resolution. It's time for you to speak up. And maybe he regretted that later, but just one little anecdote of many that appreciate Joe Taylor.
Thank you, Vice President Barr. All right, is there anyone else? And thank you again, Mayor. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council on any item not in this evening's agenda? Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Jim Crowley at 16106 Blue Skies Drive. And, I think Brent really summed it up. I just want to come and express my opinion as well, but I think Brent summed up, my feelings. And, I just think that, we appreciate the proposal with, the new ordinance, but, we'd like to see it move vigorously. And I think that, I've called to see where we're at on that, and no one seems to know really where we're at on that. So I think if we could somehow, let us residents be a part of that and to involve us in really some feedback, because as we watch our trees come down tree by tree, in fact, Brent was removed today, his tree, it's uneasy. I'm sitting here with my mother who has lived in her house for 57 years, and, they're moving their way up the street, and, it's heart-wrenching for her. In fact, she said she's not going to stay there that week, that they do her block, because it's too heart-wrenching for her. It is painful to watch. And, I've walked, block by block, as many of us in our group have, first doing signatures, and now we've done 2 rounds of flyers. We're going to continue to do this. And it takes time, because we stop and talk to the residents that are on the street and ask their opinions. And it's interesting to get a lot of feedback, because I was on Edgewood Drive, I believe it was yesterday, over the Gulfview sub, and, their street's been torn up for a year. And, so I'm told, again, just talking to residents. And, there's a lot of people that are really upset about it, and they just don't feel like they've had the forum to get together and speak, because they've, maybe called in one by one and just really haven't gotten the feedback that they want. And they're happy to find a group. And, we are forming a group, and, maybe next it's a website. But, we want to make Livonia continue to be a great city and to be a tree city. And, I know we're planting 400 trees a year or 500 trees a year, I think, correct? But they are little stick trees, and I've driven around and walked around, and many of them are dead, you know? So it's a shame. So please, you know, continue to help us, help the city, and keep us informed on, you know, what we're doing with this new ordinance. Unfortunately, it's too late for many of us that have lost trees, but, you know, going forward, we'd like to continue being active for those that aren't even aware of what's going on yet till the trees come down in front of their house. So the green X's are kind of heart-wrenching to watch, so thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Crowley. Would anyone else like to communicate with the council this evening on any item not on this evening's agenda? Going once, going twice, final call for audience communication. All right, seeing none, thank you everyone who took the time to come tonight and speak to us and engage with your community. It's all appreciated. At this time, we go to reports from the mayor and other city officials. And this evening, I do not believe we have any. Actually, I stand corrected. We have a communication from the Department of Finance dated May 26, 2021, regarding Retirement System Annual Report for fiscal year 2020, and it is respectfully suggested that the item listed above be received and placed on file for the information of the council. And with that, we go to the consent agenda. Items this evening on the consent, items 1 through 7 are on this evening's consent agenda. They're voted on as one item. It doesn't mean that they are any less important than any of the other agenda items. It just means that when they were covered in our study meeting of May 24th, we deem them not to be controversial in nature.
Madam
Councilmember Jelly.
I'd like to offer an approving resolution for the consent agenda.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Toy. Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on approval of the consent agenda?
Sorry, doing the civic clerk here. Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the consent agenda is approved unanimously. And we continue with unfinished business, beginning with item number 8. This is the Capital Outlay and Infrastructure Committee meeting of May 25th, 2021. It was the subject matter of an educational session regarding water rates, specifically how annual water rates are determined. This was Council Resolution 277-20. And we are going to ask the chair of that committee, Kathy White, if she would please give us a readout from that committee meeting.
Thank you.
Councilmember White.
Thank you. We started the meeting at 7 p.m. Besides myself, Councilmember Jim Jolly and Councilmember Scott Barr were present, as well as Councilmember Donovic. A number of city officials were present, including the city treasurer, director of public works, our planning and economic development director, our assistant city attorney, our director of governmental affairs, our finance director, our chief accountant, and another accountant for the city. And we did have an education session regarding how water rates are determined, because it's timely, because we have that item on the agenda to make some changes for our water rates going forward. And our finance director basically explained the process and the goal, which is to cover the city's costs, which this year will be over $43 million. He explained the factors that impact the water rates and gave us data regarding water sales and water rates, or water loss, for the last 10 years. And we looked at what the average quarterly cost of residential bills was in the city. And in a comparison of water and sewer bills to our surrounding communities, it's noteworthy that we are very low compared to those surrounding communities. So after some questions from the council and the public, we concluded our education session, and therefore the committee is recommending a resolution of no further action on that item.
Thank you. And then did you also cover subject matter of the 2014 through 2019 Capital Improvement Program? That was Council Resolution 105-14.
We did, since that period of time has passed, we are recommending a no further action resolution on that item.
And finally, your last item that you had in your committee, the subject, or covered in your committee that evening, the subject matter of the 2016 through 2021 capital improvement program, that was Council Resolution 262-16.
Thank you. We had a discussion with our planning director that the city's going to be modifying its process for entering data pertaining to capital improvements, and we think that this will be a timely way for department heads to enter the information, and it will enhance the city's ability to search and analyze all the information. It will be submitted to the Planning Commission each year for approval. We also have a resolution already in committee for our capital improvement program that goes beyond 2021. So for this item, we are recommending a resolution of no further action.
Thank you very much, Councilmember White. And just to make it clear to the audience why we're not voting, recommendations of no further action or resolutions of no further action do not require a vote of the city council. Is there any comment, anyone from the audience would like to comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, we will continue with unfinished business. Item number 9 is a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinance as amended, coming to us from the Department of Law, to Section 040 of Title 13, Chapter 08, Water Services Rates and Revenues, to provide for changes in the water service consumption rates to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2021.
Madam President?
Councilmember Jolly.
Well, I think Councilmember White gave a good recitation of what we're doing with these next 5 agenda items. But again, these are revenue neutral to the city. Each of these next 5 have to do with the water rates and the waste rates for the city of Livonia. At this time, I'll offer a first reading on item number 9.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Jolly. A proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinance is amended. This comes to us from the Department of Law regarding Section 050 of Title 13, Chapter 08, Water Service Rates and Revenues, to provide changes in the water service consumption rates to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2021.
Madam President,
Vice President Barr?
I'll offer first reading on this item.
Thank you. Number 11, item number 11 is a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances is amended. This too comes to us from the Department of Law regarding Section 120 of Title 1, Chapter of Section 120 of Title 13, Chapter 20, Livonia Sewage Disposal System, to provide for changes to the sewer disposal and maintenance rates to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2021.
Madam Chair,
President?
Councilmember White.
I'll offer first reading.
Thank you. Item number 12 is a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinance is amended. This too comes to us from the Department of Law regarding Section 130 of Title 13, Chapter 20, Livonia Sewage Disposal System, to provide for changes to the special rates for designated uses to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2021.
Madam President,
Councilmember Donovan.
I'd like to offer first reading, please.
Thank you. Item number 13, excuse me, is a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinance is amended. This comes to us from the Department of Law, Section 050 of Title 13, Chapter 28, Industrial Waste Surcharge, to provide for changes in the industrial waste surcharge rate to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2021.
Madam President,
Vice President Barr,
I'll offer first reading. And may I make one quick comment?
please.
Just as Councilman Jolly correctly noted, these are all they're pass-through actions for us. It's just important to note, as I say every year, that failure to support these, as much as we don't like them, results in the city operating at a deficit on this. So it's important for us to understand that these are expenses that have been incurred as part of maintaining the water system, and this is simply setting the rates of the place at a revenue neutral that we can cover our expenses. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice President Barr. And further, again, if you haven't been to city council meetings before, on ordinance changes, because they represent a very significant, they're changes in our ordinance, they go through a process of what's called a first reading. And a first reading is simply that a council member offers a first reading for the public to be aware and for everybody to consider it. And then there's a second reading offered at a subsequent meeting where it's voted on, and changes in ordinance do not become effective until they're printed in the newspaper. And they require approval by the council.
Madam President,
Vice President
I
Barr.
just need to fix a technicality. I said something correctly. I said these are expenses that have already been incurred. In some cases, they're actions that have already been approved, maybe haven't been incurred yet. But sorry, it's the finance guy in me. Just had to make sure I got that right.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Vice President Barr. All right, now we move on to item number 14. This is a block party. It comes to us from Margaret Alvarado from Julia's Barber Shop to be held Saturday, July 24th, 2021, from 1 to 6 p.m. at the corner of Cavour Street and 5 Mile Road to the beginning of the alley with a rain date of July 25th, 2021. Good evening.
Hi, my name is
Oh,
Christian
I'm sorry.
Alvarado.
Madam
Thank you.
President,
We need a motion.
I'll offer an approval for sake of discussion.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Donovan. Thank you. We're a little rusty on this whole
Yeah, I get it.
in-person thing. Anyway, go ahead, please, with your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Christian Alvarado. I don't live in Livonia. Actually, I used to when I was very little, like 4, 5, 6. And, you know, just driving to get here today reminded me how much beauty is in Livonia. I grew up in Plymouth Township, so I'm not too far. I had a lot of outings as when I was growing up here. So Livonia does have a piece in my heart, as well as my family's business. I am the nephew to Margaret Alvarado. She is now the acting general manager in all intents and purposes now that my uncle Alex Alvarado has passed away back in November. We are looking to have a party to celebrate not only his life as Barber Al and all the good stuff he did with the community, but the barber shop itself, and I don't know if any of you have stopped by in a while, it's 76 years old. That's older than the city of Livonia itself. So we are celebrating the 75th anniversary. We were going to do this last year, but now because of obvious reasons, we're moving it to this year. We are looking to block off some of the areas just so that we can put some tables and some chairs. The party will be from 1 to 5. We're looking to have this from 1 to 6, kind of a block off, just so we can like tear everything down, like have an hour to like put everything away and stuff like that. I really don't have anything else prepared,
That's quite all right.
but thank you.
You've done a fine job. Council questions, Vice President Barr and then Councilmember McCullough.
Yeah, and thanks for coming tonight. I think it's great what you're doing. I've been a customer there in the past. Cindy Bergquist is a good friend of mine who worked there for a long time, and so I think it's great what you're doing. My only concern with this, and I was the one that asked for it to be off of consent so we could get a chance to talk to you, is, well, let me ask you a question first. What is the need? You guys have a large parking lot, reasonably large parking lot between the barber shop and Cavour Street. What is the need to block off the street? You just anticipate that big of a party, which would be great for you, but.
It would be great for us. Going back to when I was younger, we used to have these kinds of parties a lot. And yeah, we would have that many people. We're looking to get a stage. We're looking to have food even catered. A lot of people loved Barber Al, and a lot of people are coming to celebrate Barber Al because he had no kids. He had really no kin. He didn't want a traditional funeral at all, but so we thought, you know, this Christmas in July thing, because he loved Christmas, he would gather up presents throughout the year and then have a Christmas celebration at the barbershop. We would have a Santa, and he would literally give out all these gifts that he bought himself to these kids that he pretty much said that they were his kids, even though they weren't, and he never had kids. So we're really looking to celebrate as much as possible, as well as kind of help the business get back up and running, you know. Since he got sick back in 2010, the business has kind of taken a bit of a dive, and I graduated from business school last month. So I'm looking to help my family get the business back on track, and this is one of our ways that we're planning on doing that.
So thanks for answering that, and I can totally envision how this is going to be a big deal. I don't have a problem with it. The only reason, and we often approve these things, this one just gave me a little bit concerned just because it's right on the edge of 5 Mile Road, and the one thing I'm concerned about is just people coming eastbound on 5 Mile Road and turning into Cavour and like, oh no, the road's blocked, and I would just hate for something to happen. So it wouldn't be the first time that we've done something like this, but I would just ask that I'm sure the city will be mindful of this too, but that you, when you set up those barricades, make sure you do it in a place that's totally visible from 5 Mile Road so people see it before they turn in on there. That was my only concern with it.
Understood.
And congratulations on your graduation from business school.
Thank you, thank you.
Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. Just congratulations on 75 years. That is a huge milestone. And I do know, condolences on Barbara Al. Follow you guys on Facebook, and I could see the following. And even the street blocking off, knowing the following that you guys have and how much he meant to the community, I'm sure that it'll be a great day, so.
You're all welcome. Yeah,
Thank
we'd
you.
love to see you guys there.
Thank you. Councilmember Toy, Councilmember Jolly, and Councilmember Donovan.
Well, thank you. I never got my hair cut there, but, no, appreciate it because you hired all kinds of people from those areas. And, like Councilman Barr, Cindy Berquist went to Bentley with my sister, and she always bragged about, you know, how much she loved that barber shop and how well respected your uncle was in this community, and I applaud you for that. We are honored to have such small businesses stay around this community as long as you have. So anything we can do to help, or I can do to help, or I don't want to speak for all my colleagues, but we're all excited about you doing what you're doing, and I think that shows that you will bring this community together, especially in that part of the community. That's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Toy. Councilmember Donovan, no, Jolly, and then Donovan.
It's okay. I'll just send my well wishes as well. Al, believe it or not, I needed a barber at some point, and he was one of the few who had a pleasure of cutting my hair when I had some. But his personality was amazing, does not give it justice, and does not do justice. Everything you said is absolutely correct. I know there was a great community within the barber shop with all the employees. When I was the magistrate, I had the honor of performing some weddings for some family members of the people who worked there, and it was just a great community, and he is missed, and he is appreciated, and I mean, the reach of his engagement in the community, he probably sold more Girl Scout cookies than anybody else in Livonia ever.
Yeah, those are my cousin's Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably as good as it gets. So we send our love and our well wishes to your family, and we want to make your business here for the next 75 years. So you make sure that we know how to make that happen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilmember Jolly. Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. First, condolences to Barbara Al. I never had the pleasure of meeting him, although I've heard many stories about his conversations in the barbershop and what the atmosphere in there was like. Celebrating 75 years as a small business is not by accident. I mean, that just is testament to what you and your family and the staff there do, so congratulations. I like my hair, guy. I wish I would've got my hair cut there, but I'll be stopping by to come visit and come support and get a haircut soon. So congratulations, and I wish you guys luck on your block party.
Thank you so much, all of you guys. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, just thank you all,
Well, we still have to vote.
Yeah, but just preemptively, thank you so much, and I hope to work with as many of you as possible within the business. I'm also on the board for the Young Democrats of Michigan and for the Michigan Democratic Caucus, Youth Caucus. So
Great.
I do a lot, so I really hope to work with all of you guys in many different facets.
Thank you so much. All right, would anyone else like to comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, you're all set. You can return to your seat, and
Thank
we'll
you.
take the vote. Thank you so much, Mr. Alvarado. Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on the approval of the street blockage for the Julie's Barber Shop 75 years plus one celebration on July 24th?
Vice President Barr?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovan?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye, and it's approved unanimously, so you have your approval for the street closure. Thank you. Moving on to item number 15, this is adoption of a resolution placing special assessments upon referenced properties whose owners have not paid charges connected with the 2020 sidewalk program. This is contract 20-G, single lot assessments. This comes to us from the Office of the Treasurer, and these are Council Resolutions 50-21 and 36-21. Good evening, Madam Treasurer.
Madam President,
Yeah,
I'll
oh,
offer an approval.
that would help, wouldn't it? Support from Toy. Now, good evening, City Treasurer Shield.
Good evening, Linda Shields, City Treasurer. I'm just here this evening in case you have any questions. In your packet, you would have received the information on those that have asked for their assessments to be placed on 3 separate installments. There will be a second letter that will go out to the residents on September 29th, and they do have a little bit longer to make payments before they actually become assessments.
Thank you. Does anyone on the council have any questions for the treasurer? Vice President Barr.
No questions. I just want to thank her for the reminder to pay my bill for my sidewalk.
Does anyone from the audience, like to comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on the resolution placing the special assessment?
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the motion carries unanimously, so we will proceed with that program. Thank you very much, Treasurer Shield. Number 16 is a rezoning petition. This comes from the Planning Commission regarding petition 2021-03-01-01 submitted by Fred Kadoff, requesting to rezone the property at 28200 7 Mile Road, located on the north side of 7 Mile Road between Inkster Road and Brentwood Avenue in the southeast quarter of Section 1 from OS Office Services to R7 multiple family residential, and we had a public hearing on this matter on June 2nd, 2021. Council.
Madam President,
Councilmember Jolly.
I'll offer denying at this point.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Toy. Is there any discussion?
Madam President.
Councilmember Jolly.
So, in regards to this piece of property, this is a piece of property that has been blighted and not well utilized for probably at least a decade, if not more. We've had multiple issues in terms of police presence and the need for police interaction at this piece of property. We did have a developer who's before us now come at a public hearing and a planning commission series of meetings before that, who is proposing what would infuse capital and some level of new investment into this piece of property. And that warrants strong consideration in regards to what's going to happen with this piece of property. But we always have to make sure that we are investing in the appropriate way, not only for the immediate future to clean up a piece of property and have a better use in the near term, but ultimately in the long term. I believe in the long term, there will be a better option to invest in this property, a better usage of this property. And quite frankly, I think we are, with some items that we've had come before us in the last couple of years in terms of development on 7 Mile Road there, right along where this property is, just west of Inkster Road, there is a potential to have a neat little district there. And I don't think this particular option that's before us tonight gets us towards that. And I'll be voting in favor of my motion, which is a denying motion. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Councilmember Toy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Part of the reason I also supported Councilman Jolly on the denying is I've had tons of phone calls from that area. I don't know about the rest of you. And a lot of those people put up with a lot of stuff that was going on in that building prior to this gentleman coming forward to try and develop it. I don't believe, in my view, let alone their view, that this would be a good use of this property. It's a very tight piece for what's being proposed, and the residents have convinced me that they just don't want to live in an area where there's an apartment building where there's really not a whole lot of other apartment buildings in that area. It's down from the school, and it's different on an ownership of a piece of property compared to a apartment kind of person that is living there possibly with the kinds of issues that they've experienced before. So I was a little taken back in a way that the amount of phone calls I did receive from that area and the people that were against this. And, you know, they always ask you, would you like this in your neighborhood? And, you know, I applaud the gentleman for coming forward, trying to do something here, but I think apartment building is out of the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Twite. Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. I will also be supporting the denial. I've met with a lot of the residents out there, some of which they're in the audience right now. And again, I'm all for innovative development and planning. You know, Livonia is a city that's been built out, so we have to be innovative when we redevelop. However, I do not think that this specific development is the right for the area. Give you some perspective, when you rezone to an R7, you're supposed to have a setback of 75 feet. Just to the property to the west, I measured, and you know, this is approximate, but 12 to 14 feet from someone's door. Again, going back to one of my colleagues said, would you like that next to you? I can't support that. I do appreciate the developer again bringing this forward, and I just can't support the fact that you would have multifamily. I hope that we can keep something there. The building is dilapidated. I think there's some work to be cut out, but at least I don't think this is the right product. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember McCullough. Anyone else?
Madam President.
Vice President Barr.
Through the Madam President to Mark Termina. Mark, can I just ask you a quick question? I was reviewing the Planning Commission minutes on this, and I saw some discussion about the future land use plan in regard to Vision 21 for this area. And if I understood correctly, there seemed to be some confusion in the Planning Commission, but if I understood it correctly, you said that under Vision 21 that this is slated for multifamily residential. Am I right about that, or I just want to confirm my understanding of that?
Well, it is true that the rezoning is not inconsistent with the Livonia Vision 21 future land use map. It does identify it as medium-density residential, which would correspond to a density consistent with multifamily housing, but could also include single-family housing, so it extends to both.
Okay. Okay, that answers my question. And I certainly, just quick commentary on that, I understand everything that has been said and concur with much of what has been said, at least recognizing the legitimacy of the concerns. The challenge with this is, and there's actually a broader challenge that we have to think about for the council, and this is probably an early version of a lot of similar types of things that we're going to be talking about, where we have office space where owners are saying, I can't lease this out as office space. With the changes in work patterns of the last year and a half, it's going to be really interesting, not just in Livonia, but across the nation over the next couple of decades, what happens to all this space that is zoned for office space and how it gets rezoned. And no developer is going to be excited, no owner, any of us that own that property would not be excited about buying a piece of property zoned to office space, only be told that it needs to be turned into single-family residential. Just from an investment standpoint, none of us would be happy about that investment. So I do understand the concerns here, but having talked to a number of residents, having met with the owner at the property, having toured the building and seen some of the plans, I'm looking at a place that's been an eyesore for a long time. We all know there's been some questionable activity there in the past, and a place that, if it stays zoned the way it is now, I think it's highly questionable how marketable that property is going to be for any tenants, which means you're likely still looking at a mostly vacant building for quite a long time. And so while there's no perfect solution here, I felt like the proposal that we had, I had a comfort level that that what he was looking to do was going to be at a quality level that would be a significant upgrade to that property, as opposed to the alternative. And I've asked some of the residents that have contacted me, and I mean this honestly, what would you propose as an alternative? And I don't ask that as a challenge. I ask that because I've been trying to figure that out. And what I often hear is, well, it needs to stay in office or it needs to be single-family residential. And I just got to tell you, I don't see either of those as viable long-term. So I understand the concerns. This is one, it sounds like it's going for denial. I would have supported it, but it's one of those that I'm not losing sleep over denial because I understand the concerns, but I just want it noted that there were good reasons for this proposal, and I think the owner has come to us in good faith to try to make an improvement of that property. Thanks.
Thank you. Vice President, or Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. this building has been troublesome for many, many years, and I had the pleasure of getting to tour the property inside and out. I'm thankful that I got that opportunity. It was eye-opening. It's unfortunate that this building sat there like that, and it seems like it won't be passing tonight, and this building's gonna continue to sit there vacant for many years, which to me is negative. I mean, that's also gonna attract crime. It's also gonna bring down the overall atmosphere and environment of the community. But I understand the concerns, and they are valid concerns. Do you want an apartment building 14, 15 feet away from your home? And I do get that. It is a tough location with the potential of an apartment building. I do wonder what's gonna happen in the future. The fact is, office buildings are not as marketable as they once were. Looking forward into the future and what this building looks like, I hope that there is some future opportunity for it. I don't see there being future opportunity for it, but I'm hoping that there is some sort of exciting development that does come there one day, because the neighborhood deserves it, the residents deserve it, and the property owner deserves it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Anyone else on council have any comments? If not, we'll go to the audience. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council on this item. And there has been a resolution, a denying resolution offered, meaning that if people vote yes on it, the rezoning would be denied.
Okay, well, I just wanted to talk about it. I've lived on the street for 33 years. So I saw it when it was in better times, and I understand what was happening. But the apartment complex, the area that they're trying to put in is too small. And we only have a small, like a quarter-mile street before the school. And between all the trucks and the cars and the school buses, if we add an apartment building with more residents and more cars and more congestion, it's just going to be too much. A couple years ago, we had to reroute the school. There was so much traffic on that street. We had to reroute the school till they would go out to the street behind us, because there was so much congestion, and I just think it would be too much to put that apartment complex in that property. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the audience? All right. Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Coogan. I live just north of the property. I prepared a statement I'm going to read it. So, as previously stated, I'm firmly against the rezoning of this property. When the people of this neighborhood and myself purchased our homes, we were accepting of the fact that we'd be living next to an office building, not an apartment complex. The rezoning of this property to R7 multiple family dwelling would drastically affect the quiet enjoyment of our properties, as well as stifle our property values, mainly due to the fact that the proposed plan would allow for a max of 22 people living in less than 65 feet from my property line, and a projected green space and a picnic area that would be less than 10 feet from my property line, without barriers. As some of the council members have toured the project site and can confirm, the elevation of the building allows a clear line of sight into my home and my backyard pool area. Having teenage daughters, one could expect a father's concern in regards to the line of sight, as well as the sheer number of individuals now projected to occupy that property. I have tried to be the voice of many of my neighbors, many which share the same concerns, but I must simply state that as the owner of the west side of the property, of the subject property, I have the most at stake, along with my neighbor on 7 Mile to the west of the property, and that's why we're opposing the plan as submitted. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on the denying resolution? And again, a yes vote means that we're voting to deny the rezoning, meaning the rezoning would not happen.
Vice President Barr?
No.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye. And the motion carries. The denying resolution is approved, and the rezoning the rezoning fails, and it would have required 5 votes in order for it to be rezoned. If we had an approving resolution, it would have required 5 votes of approval because there was a valid protest. All right, moving on to new business, item number 17. This is a request to waive the city's noise ordinance. This comes to us from Courtney C. Moore, owner of the music firm, to host a grand opening event with live music, food truck, and ice cream truck at the music firm located at 16376 Middle Belt on Saturday, June 26, 2021, from 2 to 8 p.m. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Madam President, I'll offer an approving resolution.
Support.
Thank you. And just for clarification, before anyone can speak, we need a resolution on the floor, and this is one of the things that's throwing me off about being back in person, is you see the petitioner so, thank you to my colleagues for saving me from multiple mistakes this evening. Anyway, I'm sorry for the interruption. Good evening, and if you could give us your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Courtney C. Moore, and I am the new owner of the business, the music firm. We're located at 16376 Middle Belt Road, of course, in the great city of Livonia, in which I did not grow up in Livonia, and Livonia has always been just a beautiful place. I had friends. My sister, she danced at Miss Harriet's dance studio for years. So, you know, we would just literally drive down the neighborhoods and say, Mom, one day we will be here. And lo and behold, I'm here. So I am just asking for permission to have our grand opening. I took a leap of faith in February. I lost my mom, and we took a leap of faith, her and I, during the pandemic to expand my business from just being a travel to home music type of teaching thing into getting a building and to transition into audio sales, because I had a lot of customers, a lot of clients, a lot of students that I would have to send them elsewhere to get what they would need. And so my mom knew all along, I do believe that she was gonna pass, because she did the work, the legwork to see this to be possible. And she told me not to worry about, you know, finances or anything. So this was a dream. This was definitely a leap of faith. It took us, I wanna say, from August of 2020 up until now to go ahead and open up due to her health challenges and just due to us taking time. So granted, we have been paying rent in a facility that we hadn't even opened. My mom passed, and when I got her, you know, insurance policy and everything that she left, there was instruction for the music firm there. So she knew all along, and it would just be a complete joy and blessing if I could just have this grand opening in a grand way for her sake. And we would like to submit or ask if we can have live music at the grand opening. There will be a band and 3 other performers if we are granted the permission to do so. We would like to offer free just refreshments to the city, to the people of the community. Nothing will cost other than them having to come in. If they want to purchase something in our store, they can. But as far as refreshments, we're going to just be passing out. We're going to, you know, pay for the food trucks and everything out of our own pocket. We just want to say, hey, City of Livonia, we're here. We made it, and we're here. So with that being said, I have nothing else to say.
Vice President Barr, then Councilmember Toy and Councilmember Donovan.
Yeah, Ms. Moore, you're, man, I wasn't expecting that, but that was moving on a number of levels. I don't have any issue with it. We often do this kind of thing anyway, but particularly in this case, you're not close to residential. I don't see any issue with you having live music. Main reason I wanted the floor was just give you a chance to plug your business a little bit. I've driven by it several times. I've noticed it. I drive by it on the way to church, so I see it at least twice a week. And I've noticed it, but not been clear what it was. I'm looking at you on Google Maps right now. It says audio sales studio time and lessons. What do you teach?
I teach piano, but I have a community of teachers from the Metro Detroit area where they said we want to stand behind you, so we offer saxophone lessons, bass guitar lessons, and we've even went down the street to Cameron's and said, hey, you know, we're here, but, you know, we want to be a community. We're not here, you know, we want to be a community. So we give the same lessons, and then we do have a rehearsal space and a studio where people of the community can come and record, in which we have gotten a lot of people, you know, that have said, hey, when you open up, let us know. We want to come in and record. So just giving a different flair to the city, so.
Well, welcome to the city. It's a pleasure meeting you tonight, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Councilmember Toy and then Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to congratulate you. Do you also have vocal as
We
well?
do, we
Okay.
do.
So we can look forward to seeing someone from your business appearing on TV on one of these wonderful reality shows, right?
One day,
Okay.
one day.
Good enough. Thank you.
Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, condolences to your mom.
Thank
God
you.
bless her. Your story really resonates with me because, like you and your mother, my father and I started something or growing something, and he built this dream, and I get to work with him, and he's my hero. And hearing you speak, it's like hearing myself speak, and it's so amazing that entrepreneurial spirit that you are bringing to our community and taking a chance on something. And here you are bringing business to our city that we need and offering a service to the residents. And I really just hope it grows and it becomes a large business. And I hope that you have to come back for council and ask for another grand opening, another location. I mean, it's so exciting to hear your story and what you're doing. I'm really excited. I'm going to be coming to your grand opening. I cannot sing, but I will be there. And I'm really I'm just praying for you. So good luck to you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, you've said everything absolutely correct in terms of getting us excited as a community. We all know mothers have a special way of looking out for us and looking over us and making sure that we're, one way or another, doing what they want us to do, right?
Right.
So I wish you the best of luck. I give my condolences and our love to your family. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And on top of all that, you said food truck. So you got us on every level. So thank you, welcome.
Thank you.
We're happy to.
Thank you.
I have a question. Where
Yes.
can we hear you play the piano?
Well, we will have, we'll have live music, so I may get on and, you know, play a little something. Honestly, I haven't done much. It's been a little bit difficult to get back into the swing of things, honestly. So, you know, just all of this has just, you know, been like, you know, come on, Courtney, you gotta do it. So I haven't been doing much playing, but I'm gonna try at the grand opening.
Well, we're going to look forward to hearing about your gigs. And I'll give one other plug. If you haven't checked out the Livonia Chamber of Commerce,
Okay.
check them out. They're a great organization for businesses existing and getting started in the city. So
Yes.
anyway, all right.
Madam President,
Councilmember Donovan.
the Chamber of Commerce president happens to be here tonight, so you want to meet him.
Yes,
He's
he
right there.
does. Anyway. All right, thank you. Anyone else from the audience who'd like to address the council on this item? All right, if not, Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on the approval of the approval of waiving the noise ordinance? Thank you.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovan,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the motion carries unanimously. The noise waiver is granted. Thank you, Ms. Moore, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the grand opening. All right, item number 18 is a request to waive the city's noise ordinance. This comes to us from Michael, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Hudzik, to host a 50th birthday party with live music at his home located at 32974 Granada Street on Saturday, June 26, from 6 to 10 p.m. Council.
So moved.
Second.
Toy, Jolly. All right, do we have the petitioner here this evening?
Uh-oh.
Madam President, if I may.
Please.
If I could suggest to Councilmember Toy, since the petitioner
Soon, though.
is not here, I was going to suggest putting this off to the next agenda, but I don't think time would allow that because they're requesting the date of June 26th. In consideration of the neighbors around there, I would withdraw my support for this item at this time because no one has appeared.
So I'm all alone on this one.
I'll support.
Well, thank you.
All right, Councilmember McCullough has supported.
I'll discuss it. You can-
No petitioner, Vice President Barr?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate, and I would concur with Councilman Jolly's concern on this. However, we approve these all the time. I can't remember a time that we've had an issue. He's only going till 10 o'clock. I wish he was here. I assume he's talked to his neighbors, but maybe Councilman Toy or someone, if they want to, can reach out to him and just make sure he's talked to his neighbors. I don't mind supporting this based on our history of not having an issue with this, so.
Councilmember Toy?
Thank you. I was 50 once, so I'll go over and talk to him. And I appreciate that. Since it is pretty quick and, you know, it's from 6 to 10, so hopefully they won't play any rock and roll or, you know, Stairway to Heaven or one of those, you know, that's really loud, so, whatever. I'm hoping for votes. I hope I convinced you with those kind of comments.
Councilmember Jolly?
So I don't intend to be a Scrooge with this, but, and I wish the gentleman a happy 50th birthday, and I might ultimately vote for this as well, but just for all the residents who are in the audience, honestly, we generally like to have somebody who appears on behalf of themselves and the issue that come before us, so that we can put a face with, you know, with the request, so that we can know who to hold accountable if they do something wrong. But it's more out of respect to the neighbors, really, to know that they've talked to the neighbors and the neighbors aren't getting something that they are not expecting. So I agree with all my council colleagues up here as well. That's it.
Thank you. And one thing I'd like to add is, people sometimes wonder what goes on in the council office. One of the many jobs that Ms. Kasparich has is to be in touch with petitioners and make sure that they're aware of meetings and that they know when they're supposed to be here, so, pardon me?
I'm sorry.
So anyway, but when you are a petitioner, you do get a lot of notice and communication, and you can ask all the questions you want of the council office. So we don't just expect people to get something in the mail and then know exactly when they're supposed to show up. All right, anyone else, would anyone from the audience like to speak on this item? Would anyone in the audience have any suggestions? And I'm not being smart aleck here, but if anyone in the council has any suggestions or comments they'd like to make on if a neighbor next to them was having a party from 6 to 10 on a Saturday. All right. All right, okay. With that, Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on the resolution, the motion to approve, to waive the city's noise ordinance?
Vice President Barr.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the motion carries, and Mr. Hudzik gets his noise waiver for his birthday party. At this time, we go back to the audience. If anyone in the audience who did not, would like to communicate with the council on any item not in this evening's agenda, now is your opportunity to do so. All right, going once? Oh, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Darrell Newman, 9807 Melrose. In the 1 mile square area bounded by Joy Road, Plymouth, Farmington, and Merriman, there are approximately 2,400 homes. If you expand that just a little further to Middlebelt, there's almost 5,000 homes in the area, all within walking or bicycling distance of the Noble branch of the library. Residents in the area are concerned about preserving the Noble branch for current generation of children and adults, future generations, and people that might be considering moving to Livonia. So to make sure that council is aware of our concerns and knows that we'd like input into whatever decision processes are being undertaken to determine the future of that branch.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Appreciate your comments.
Madam President,
Councilmember Deli.
if I could reply to that just very quickly. I think we see the value of libraries over the course of time in our history. I think going forward, when we look at what libraries are and as a local community resource, obviously we're a local community, but they seem to be a little bit more local sometimes when they're in our neighborhood or a little bit closer than City Hall or the main branch of the library. I would like to see a situation, and I think many of us would as well, where this is really a community resource and a micro community center in many ways, and providing internet and resources and all these other things to the community as well. So your comments are well taken, and it's on our radar. Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Toy?
Madam Chair, if the gentleman would like to leave his name, right, I'm sure you were gonna say that, who, to Sarah? In case something does come up as he suggested, so that he's notified?
Yes,
Yeah.
we,
Yeah, oh, he did leave his name, okay, well then, are we gonna?
well, I'd like to make a recommendation, Mr. Newman, and you're certainly welcome to call the council office and be in communication with Sarah, but I'd also suggest that you, and I don't know the meeting schedule off the top of my head, but you look at the library commission meetings, and that is those are the decision makers. We appreciate you very much coming to council. It's how you make us aware and everyone else who's here tonight or watching aware. But that is the commission that makes the decisions about, and those commissioners are all appointed by the mayor. So those are the people that the decisions rest in their hands. But thank you for coming tonight, but that's the most direct avenue to the decision makers. So thank you very much. Councilmember Toy.
Before we adjourn, Madam Chair, I'd just like to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and I greatly miss mine. I took care of him for the last couple of years of his life, and President McIntyre was very good and her family to my father, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam President.
He was a great man.
And so I would also like to remember the Hillman family. We forgot to kind of recognize that. There was a big memorial for Angie Hillman, who was a great teacher and just a great mentor to so many Livonia young people and older people. And the Hillman family, John worked over at Bill Brown Ford, and her mother worked in the schools tirelessly, volunteering, and they're just such a great family, and she died suddenly in her sleep. And so we want to remember the Hillmans in the coming days and say your prayers for Angie and the family. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Toy, and to echo that, a very happy Father's Day to all of my colleagues and all of our friends in the city, and whether you're a biological father or provide a mentoring role to someone, a godfather, happy Father's Day. All right, anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I think we can safely show 7 on that. We are adjourned. It's 8:20. The council will reconvene at 8:30 for the study meeting. Thank you.
I should have mentioned you